The following podcast may contain adult language and an abundance of slurred one-liners, so get ready, nerds, because we're talking Judge Dredd.
I am the law.
Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us on this episode of the Salty Nerd Podcast. We're talking Sylvester Stallone in Judge Dredd, and I am joined, as always, by my fantastic panel of nerds. Matt Vader's here. What's up, dude?
I'll be back.
It's the wrong. What the hell are you doing?
Wrong one.
Wrong guy. Try again. One more time.
Hold on 1 second. You better get your ass to Mars. No.
Still the wrong one.
Still the wrong one? Okay.
Try harder.
Yo, Adrian.
There you go. Here, he made
There
it.
it is.
Vader's here. Welcome, sir. Jude is also here.
Hello.
Hello. It's just, I want to have like a comic book pop-up come up and just hello, like,
Perfect.
out of her side. Yeah, we need to make that happen. Kadish is also here. Welcome, sir.
So this is a guilty pleasure movie of mine. I absolutely love this movie, undeservedly so, but it is so much fun. I can't help but enjoy it.
Surprisingly enough, I agree with you. This is the first watch for me this week for Judge Dredd. I've never seen the Stallone Dredd movie, and I would classify this 100% as a guilty pleasure.
I've said it before, any movie that starts off with a cool narrator reading off some shit from a comic book.
James Earl Jones, bro.
good.
It's fucking
It's
Darth
good,
Vader
right?
starts this movie.
You know, it's like, just like in Conan, from the days
Yeah.
of Ocean's Drink Atlantis. But now we got Darth Vader reading out Judge Dredd stuff.
Right? Yeah.
So yeah,
They were
it's
called
cool.
the Judges.
Yeah.
And it was like, dun, dun, dun,
It's
dun,
like
dun.
anytime a dork nerd movie
I'm
does
in.
that, I am sold. I don't care if it's the worst movie in the world. If you got a narrator telling the story at the beginning with words, I'm in.
This is the most 80s, 90s movie I've ever seen. Like,
That's pretty good.
it needs to be an 80s movie, but it
Yeah.
was made in 95.
Yeah.
Weird.
A little weird.
A little weird.
It's a little weird.
What a weird.
Little weird.
I am the law. All right, guys. We're going to be talking about this movie. Obviously, spoilers. So if you've never seen it, like me, if you've never seen this version, it's blueberry wine. Anyway, we're going to take a sip of blueberry wine. I could barely get that out. And we'll be right back, so stay tuned.
Mr. I am the law.
Welcome back, everybody. Hey, if you guys want to support what we do here, go to saltynerd.com/DC and download Dragon Champions. It's an awesome mobile game that we all play here, and we actually have our own guild. The developers of this mobile game support us as a podcast, and we want to return the favor. So when you do download it, head over to the promo code area and type in Salty, and you guys get a little bit of a leg up. You get some extra cash, extra character, some really cool stuff to help you along your way. When you reach level 20, join our guild, help us go on raids. It's a really fun game, and we do get a little bit of a kickback. So make sure you type in Salty in that promo code area. It helps you, and it helps us. We'd really much appreciate it. So thank you very much for doing that. All right.
Gives you a little bit.
Little bit.
Little bit.
Little bit
of a
of
leg
money,
up. Little bit leg
a
up.
character, and a couple other fancy things.
A little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Fuck. All right. Jude, Judge Dredd, take it away.
All right. 1995 Judge Dredd, rated R with a runtime of 1 hour 36 minutes. This had a budget of $90 million. What do you think this brought into the box office, gentlemen?
180 million. I don't know.
Vader?
You think it doubled?
Sure. I'm going to say double. Sylvester Stallone in the 90s.
Stallone was on his, he's on his downward trend at this point. I'm gonna go $110 million.
Vader wins the speed boat with $113 million.
Boom.
God damn it.
I'm fucking drunk.
It was still
I am too.
it was still considered a failure though, because 90 million and what was it, 100?
Yeah, they didn't.
110. They only made like a couple million
They
off
didn't
of
make
it.
their marketing
Not
budget.
enough to cover the marketing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the McDonald's toys
Or
that
the
came along
egos
with it.
walking through this fucking movie.
Oh damn!
How much-
Everybody was extra in this movie.
How much of the actor's salary was this budget?
Well, Stallone was 20 million.
Well, there you go.
God damn!
There's the fucking sequel. That just cut him off from the sequel right
Like, how much is it going to cost for us to put you in a ridiculous outfit? 20 million. Okay.
Actually, I really like the outfits in this.
Of
there.
course
No,
you
I
did.
thought they were pretty cool. Very comic booky.
Very comic
I
book.
think Jude has a synopsis.
I do.
I can't wait.
Me too. Me neither.
Post-apocalypse New York City is pretty much the same as pre-apocalypse New York City. There's 8 billion pieces of shit all crammed in together, and they're all trying to kill each other. But what this town needs is an enema, and Stallone is just the right anal douche for the job. He and his twin brother, Armand Assante, are lab-created science babies. But one went bad, while the other was a little too good and needed to be sidelined. When Rocky comes back from cursed Earth, he gets together with his brother and they take turns screaming the word law at each other and trading justice puns until Rambo's like, stop or my Superman's mom will shoot. And she does. She puts a hole right through Demolition Man's brother, sending him over the top of the balcony railing of a real cliffhanger of a building, proving he was the brother that was totally expendable. Discuss.
Fucking, that was on point.
That was great.
On point, dude.
God damn, Paul, where are you going to get that thing from?
Screaming law at each other.
Best part of the movie.
Oh, fuck, dude. That's hilarious. All right. So I've never seen this movie. I don't know how.
This was a first watch for me too.
First watch. I've never seen
Really?
it. Yes. So, like,
Oh my God.
I thought I had seen it before, and then as I was watching it, I was like, "What is this fucking nonsense?"
this is Demolition Man. I was like,
Yes.
I swear I've seen Judge Dredd before.
Yeah.
It's just Demolition Man with shinier shit.
Stallone and Schneider in the same two movies. I was like, "Yeah, I've seen that before." No,
I had.
Jude was like, "Where's Sandra Bullock?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Sandra Bullock should have been
it's
Judge
Diane,
Hershey.
It's Diane
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
She should have been
She
Judge
was
Hershey.
smoking hot in this movie, by the way.
My favorite part of this week was all the texts I got from Jude telling us how she fucking hates the shoulder pads. I hate these shoulder pads. That
no,
was you,
like-
right? Was that somebody else?
I don't remember saying
Oh
that.
my God, it was
Listen,
somebody else.
this movie is
Maybe it was Anima. I don't know.
freaking goofy. Like, super goofy, over the top. Everybody was overacting. The costumes were over the top. But I had so much fun with it.
I had a completely different
is fun.
experience.
You hated it?
Oh my God, I hated it.
Oh, no.
Like halfway through the movie, I couldn't even keep it inside of my body anymore. I was just like, ugh. I was Armand Assante.
Yeah, like you should have seen her involuntary reaction when Armand Assante at the end goes, "Law!" Like she literally, like her body convulsed as soon as he said it. And she was like, "Oh my God, I had no control over my body at that moment because it so revolted her."
I felt like one of the clones, like coming alive.
Oh, that was a plot line that they just forgot about.
Yeah. What happened to all your science baby brothers?
There's a story behind that.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
I don't know what to say about this
Did you
movie.
see this in theaters?
I saw it in theaters.
I want to say yes, but I don't remember.
Okay.
This time, what this was 90,
96.
95.
95 or 96, yeah.
20, I was 25. I smoked a lot of weed when I was that age.
So you had to have seen it.
I probably did.
What?
Oh, dude, I was a big head. I don't remember. I probably did, but I don't remember it. But I've seen it plenty of times since then on DVD and stuff. You know,
God, these costumes.
the
dude.
costumes are great.
Fucking amazing.
They're so great.
so goofy
They're
and over the
goofy.
top.
And like the chain wallet thing from the neck to the
Right?
badge. Why?
That's from the
Okay,
comic books.
Yeah, yeah.
Fine. And he's got like the thing on the shoulder pad thingy. It looks like
eagle?
a wing.
It's an eagle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eagle wing.
Yeah.
It's like straight Homelander.
It's like, all I know is that every city needs a good block war once in a while.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
just
Instead of a block party.
Yeah,
We have a block
It's like,
war. We just all
fuck
kind
those guys.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I actually am really a big fan of this style of justice. I think there should be justice in real life.
No.
Fuck yeah!
Like-
dude, we would save there would be so much less crime and so much less bureaucracy. It would be
Do you
insane.
think this
That's
looks like a land that has less crime?
That's a real slippery slope there, bud.
It's like, yeah,
Like,
it's
come on, man. You forget to register your fucking car and the dude comes over there and blows your shit up.
It's like 5 years in isolation cubes.
Like, nah.
Let's go.
Nah.
Guilty.
Oh, that sounds so nice.
Like, So I'm actually curious to hear Kadish's theater experience. So can you tell me a little bit about how that went down? Tell me about your experience watching this movie in the theaters.
Well, at the time, I was a very big fan of Stallone and a very big fan of the comic book of Judge Dredd. And so I was like, oh, they're doing it together? Stallone as Judge Dredd?
Oh my God.
How
and then
great.
after he finished coming,
So like I went to see it in the theater, and it's kind of funny because the first 15 minutes of this movie are a fantastic Judge Dredd movie. And then the minute Stallone takes the helmet off, it becomes a Sylvester Stallone movie, and it ceases to be a Judge Dredd movie. And what was interesting about this film is that it was written by Stephen S. D'Souza, who, he was the writer on Die Hard, but he was also the writer and director of Street Fighter and a bunch of Jean-Claude Van Damme movies and stuff like that. So upon rewatch, when I first saw it in the theater, I remember being extremely bored for most of the movie because it's this very kind of conspiratorial kind of crime movie that was not Judge Dredd at all. It just had nothing to do with the comic books. But the set design, the world that they created for Mega City 1, the costumes, all this stuff, it captured the look and feel of the Judge Dredd comics, but it failed to tell the stories of the Judge Dredd comics. And so for the longest time, I kind of dismissed it as okay, after the first 10, 20 minutes, I'm out of the film. Mm-hmm. But upon rewatch, I could kind of appreciate it a bit more as soon as I divorced myself from the fact that it becomes a Stallone movie 15 minutes into it. And this was at the height of Stallone's prima donna phase, because he got to be such a big star that he would just fuck with the movies that he was in because he would demand creative changes and all this stuff. And the director of this film, Danny Cannon, actually had such a terrible experience having creative differences with Sylvester Stallone because he'd lose every argument, that he decided that he would never work with an actor of Stallone's caliber again because he just basically Stallone locked him out of the editing bay at the end of this movie and took over the editing of the film. And Danny Cannon wanted it to be a serious, the original rating on this was NC-17 and they were trying to cut it down to an R, but Stallone was I want this to be more of an action comedy and I want it to be PG-13. And so he kept demanding rewrites on set that would make the movie funnier. Yeah. Originally they wanted Joe Pesci as the Rob Schneider role and Stallone pulled Rob Schneider in to make it a little bit goofier. And so a lot of the goofier elements of this movie were demanded by Sylvester Stallone. And it's kind of funny because with the NC-17 rating, that's the kiss of death and the studio was never going to allow that, but they wanted it PG-13 for the kids and the comic book crowd. So you mentioned at the end where the clones show up. Mm-hmm. So originally there was going to be a fight where Judge Dredd basically slaughtered all these clones. It was very bloody and graphic and stuff like that. And they had to cut all that stuff out just to get an R rating. So there was a lot of stuff in this movie that was a little bit more violent, but had to be cut in order to basically, not get an NC-17. It's
funny that you mentioned Pesci because if Pesci was in the Rob Schneider thing, I don't think it would have been less goofy because if I think, okay, Pesci in an action adventure movie, I immediately go to Lethal Weapon. You remember when he showed up in that movie? Mm-hmm. And he was this really weird, comic relief. I think he would have actually been more goofy than Rob Schneider played it.
I think it would have been annoying.
Yeah, I think it would have been annoying too. I actually prefer, considering the alternative, I actually prefer the Rob Schneider version, which is not that great either. But
I don't think anyone's ever said that.
What were you gonna say?
I say I keep my brain goes to Stallone in the helmet. Because Judge Dredd, I believe, I haven't read a ton of Judge Dredd comic books, and it's something I want to do, but I believe that Judge Dredd never takes his helmet off.
That's
very, very much like a Mandalorian thing.
Yes, Mandalorian and
Halo, and Pedro Pascal,
Yep.
Master Chief. It's a thing. Judge Dredd did all these things first.
Yeah.
Okay. Stallone with the helmet off.
The big reveal too.
It's very strange, and it's in the next movie we talk about. Carl Urban never takes his helmet off.
Owns it. Yep.
Owns it. Respects the character. Well, Stallone did not do that in this movie, so it's very strange that in most of this movie it's just Stallone playing Judge Dredd.
I agree with Kadish when he was I love the first 15 minutes of this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
So do I. That whole scene where he's and Judge Hershey's there and they're going through and they're raiding this building. I was like, that's a good Dredd movie.
Yeah.
And then helmet off and it's just goofball, weird, political, overly like 4 different plot lines going at the same time.
No, I'm not gonna lie. What's his brother? Armand
Assante.
Assante. That motherfucker stole this movie. All right.
You liked him more?
I did like him.
Oh my
I
God.
liked him.
He was the
way
gleeful
more.
villain.
Yeah.
His name was Rico.
Yeah. I mean,
Suave.
I think his character is the highlight of this movie.
No shit.
For sure. Him and his giant robot sidekick are just the best.
You definitely choose the scenery in every scene.
Can we talk about the robot sidekick?
Absolutely.
Because I'm pretty
dude, bro. So it's our podcast. We can talk about what
That's true. I don't know why I asked a stupid question like that. Of course I can.
I have permission to talk
Can
about
I talk
something?
about the robot?
Roar.
Fuck yes, I can. So everybody knows of like this bittersweet kind of rivalry that Stallone has with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah.
I saw this big ass dumb fucking robot, and I was like,
Oh, I never thought
that
about that.
motherfucker looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, if you compare the facial features of the robot with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I'm like, that's him. They were making.
Stallone had the
Interesting.
robot written to look like
I
Arnold.
kind of feel like he did.
No, that was from the comics.
You're
I don't-
crazy.
I don't think
I mean,
so.
I mean, you're right. It does kind of look like a robotic Arnold, but like that was taken from the comic book. So like there were these robots called like the Hammersteins or like whatever that were used in like the previous war that led to like, you know, all the desolation on the cursed earth. And in this movie, Rico finds one of them in this like secondhand shop and kind of like resurrects it and uses it as his henchman. And Danny Cannon, you know, when they decided to make this movie, they had like, you know, some options where they could do it like stop motion or they could like try to do some like CGI stuff. And he was like, no, I want to actually build this. And so like it was a fully operational hydraulic robot that took 5 operators to actually like control.
You know what though? It sells it. Like I was watching this movie, and that was one of the things that stood out to me was just how much practical effects went into this movie. Because like the robot looks legit.
Yeah,
like,
this movie's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like it's shot well. The kind of like production design, it reminded me a lot of Blade Runner, Mega City 1. But like I can remember watching an episode of Entertainment Tonight where Sylvester Stallone was like on set, kind of taking the ET crew around, and he was just kind of gushing over like the costumes because he had Giovanni Versace design all the costumes and the sets, and he's like, this is the biggest like best looking movie like I've ever worked on in my career, and like I think it shows.
It
because
does,
it's a beautiful movie.
I agree. It shows up on screen. Like the production value of this movie is really good.
Yeah, I love the whole cursed earth setting.
You want to talk about the Angel family? Or the Angel Clan or
I
whatever
mean,
they're called?
I love. So Judge Dredd is a weird kind of enigma to me because it's one of those things that for some reason I know there's this whole massive library of Judge Dredd comic books out there that I've never read. So I've read a few of them, but most of my Judge Dredd minimal knowledge that I have is from these 2 movies and the Anthrax "I Am the Law" video song and a few comic books. A great song, by the way. If you guys are into Anthrax, it's fucking awesome. It was a staple of mine. But I love dystopian settings. You know, Mad Max. You know, this is the idea that the Earth is basically cursed now, and there's like
Cannibals out
and
on
there's
the
cannibals
outskirts
and
of town.
mutants out there, and every all the normal humans are congregated into these very few and far between massive mega cities that are sporadically put across the planet is fascinating to me. So
Yeah, and in the comics, there are only 7 mega cities left in civilization, but Mega City 1 is basically the entire eastern seaboard of the United
It's
States.
like-
I
it's
think.
like they said.
Washington to Boston. I think,
to
right?
Washington D.C. or something like that, I think is what they said. Something like that.
It's a great premise. Like, but the one thing that I don't have any. I'm not even going to pretend. I have no knowledge about the comic books that this came from. My knowledge of this character comes from these 2 movies.
My knowledge of it comes from Demolition Man.
This and the Carl Urban Dredd movie are the only Dredd influences that I have. So I'm going off of that. But like this movie kind of portrays Mega City 1 as being like the upper half is pretty good. You got fucking swimming pools and like rich people and shit like that.
It's like any dystopian mega city.
Fucking flying cars.
The rich people are going to live high,
right? And the lower you go, the worse shit gets.
Live low.
Yeah, for sure. And I get, and that's the same thing in Demolition Man, right? Like the people that are rich live on the top.
Hell yeah.
And then the underbelly people are all like the freaking scavengers and all this other shit. So like that, I was like, okay, that makes sense for like a Sylvester Stallone movie, but I didn't know how accurate that was to the comics. Because I prefer, and we'll talk about this in the next video, but I prefer the Carl Urban Dredd movie where it's like everybody's pretty much on the same level. It's all pretty shitty.
Yeah.
I actually preferred that. This seems more like it's like fucking Coruscant or something from like Star Wars.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
It kind of is.
So which one is more accurate to the comics?
I
You guys
don't know. I don't know.
Kadish, do you know?
So I believe that the kind of urban sprawl of the Dredd movie from 2012 is more accurate to the comic books, but the scale of like like what the city looks like is more accurate in this movie.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
Do they have like flying cars and shit like that in the comic books too?
I think so. Like it's kind of funny because even though they allude to stuff like mutants and stuff in this, in the comic books, they also have like aliens that like live on Earth. And,
I'm
all
sure
types of
there
stuff.
are some Judge Dredd experts
Comment below.
that will
Yeah.
actually then us in the comments, and I really hope they do because I want to know.
This is a world that I would not mind diving into.
Yeah.
I would argue that this isn't really a Judge Dredd movie.
I really have a strong desire, and I might just go do it, to go down to the comic book shop and get like a Judge Dredd omnibus or something and just start reading.
So I'm really curious, Jude. I want to hear your thoughts on your watch of this movie because like one of the things I noticed immediately was just how over the top Sylvester Stallone was being in this movie, and it like part of me is like guilty pleasure enjoying it, and the other part of me is like, God, this is so corny.
Jesus, he's super intense, right?
So intense.
How do I even describe it? It was like so over the top that it was just like grating and annoying. And this was so this was a first watch for me. I thought I had seen it before. I didn't realize that this was a totally different fucking movie. And like, it took a while too. I was like 10, 15 minutes in and I was like, wait a minute. I haven't seen this movie
This isn't
before.
Demolition Man.
Yeah. So I tried to get on board and I was like, oh, it's probably awesomely bad. But then I was like, 1995 didn't really do awesomely bad that well. But then I was like, oh, Diane Lane, fucking love her.
Yeah.
She doesn't really have a whole lot to do. Her character is just a little one note for me. And then Rob Schneider, I don't think I've ever found him charming in anything. and Stallone was just so law, puns about law, justice.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah.
I knew you'd say that. I knew you'd say that. I knew you'd say that.
I knew you were gonna say that.
It was so the whole movie was just so annoying.
Justice has been served.
At one point we said earlier, like I couldn't even control it. I was just like, as I was watching it. I had to rewatch parts of it to do my synopsis. And when I rewatched it, going into it, knowing that I hated it, it wasn't quite as bad. But like the first watch was rough.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know I was going into a bad movie. I thought I was just going into a movie. And then I found out in the middle of watching the movie that I was in a bad movie.
Yeah.
And that hurt me.
So like, because it's the first watch for me too, and I remember watching it, and like I got this goofy, like I said before, it's like the most '80s movie from the '90s I've ever seen. Yeah. Like everything about this movie screams '80s. Like it belongs with Running Man, and it belongs with Total Recall, and it belongs with all these '80s classic sci-fi movies. But it was made in '95, so it looks like too pretty to be in that.
Does not look pretty.
I think it looks freaking like everything's shiny.
It's very shiny.
Cinematography is way brighter.
It's gaudy. You know what?
It is gaudy. Yes.
I like a lot about this movie. The thing I don't like about this movie is the chase scene with the hover bikes.
Oh, that's always a bad move.
It's atrocious.
Yeah.
It takes you out of it. Because,
For sure.
Because the special effects are so bad.
Yeah. And Schneider Schneider should have been left behind halfway through the movie. Like his character had no use.
But he brings him luck.
He's the comedy sidekick.
Yeah, that the most famous line from this is when Schneider kind of parodies Stallone. He's like, "I am the law."
Yeah, I'm the law.
Like that was entirely improvised, and it became like the big trailer moment too, because it was a really funny moment.
It was so accurate that like the first time I listened to it, I thought Stallone was talking. I was like, why did he just say that? Oh, that was Schneider. I'm the law.
I am the law.
Mr. I am the law.
So
I was like, oh,
basically, when we all do Stallone,
yeah,
we're doing Rob Schneider doing Stallone.
very, yeah. accurate. Okay, so
What are you talking about a movie?
the only other thing I want to talk about with this movie is the Angel clan or Angel family or whatever.
Oh,
in the
cannibals?
curse, the cannibals in the Cursed Earth.
Pa!
Hey,
We're gonna shoot that thing down with my rifle, that giant ship.
That shit was so freaking weird. But also that cyborg guy,
He's pretty dope.
freaking cool
He's pretty
looking.
cool.
I was like, is that prosthetics? That's freaking dope.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, give me more of that shit. It was like this weird, goofy 80s prosthetic cyborg dude that had like one glowing eye. And
You know what I compared that to immediately, and I never did it before until I watched it this time. Was like he was like straight out of Wormwood.
yes.
He was a Wormwood villain.
Yeah,
right?
he did look like that cyborg zombie from Wormwood.
Very much so.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just that whole scene was a lot of fun for me. This movie's not good, but I classify it as a guilty pleasure. I did have fun watching it.
It is 100% a guilty pleasure.
I watched it twice this week.
This
Once
movie did not pleasure me at all. At
so
any
sorry.
point.
Well, you were very
so
hard.
sorry,
You are very
Jude.
hard to pleasure. So I've been told. Maybe. by someone.
and Max von Sydow. Like, has that guy ever been young? Is there a movie where he's been
He's like 80 in every movie.
80 in every movie.
Came out of one of those clone pods.
Right?
With Patrick Stewart.
Remember when people were like, oh, he showed up in Ice Pirates somewhere.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Wasn't he the dude in the beginning of Force Awakens?
Yeah.
He doesn't look like he aged a day since he made this movie.
Isn't
a
he
day.
the dude playing
And that
the
was
dude
like-
disguised as another
And
dude?
that was like 30 years later.
Yeah.
So he's like my age when he made this movie.
Probably in his 50s, yeah, in this.
That's crazy to me.
We should also shout out Jürgen Pronchow.
Oh, he's so hot. He's like the Russian dude.
Well, no, he's German.
German.
And,
Same thing.
And he's been in a ton of movies, but he played the evil Chief Justice in this,
Okay.
who was like behind the whole thing.
Yeah. And the father of the Angel Clan was the dude from Walking Dead or whatever, right? Herschel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He also never aged.
And the youngest kid was from Train Spotting too, like
okay.
and Alien versus Predator.
The one who's like,
and a bunch of
Paw,
other
we
stuff.
gotta go shoot that guy.
Real
Okay.
A-list cast.
I'm really freaking out right now that Max von Sydow he stopped aging at the age of 50.
Yeah. You're probably not going to look any older.
Oh God.
You're probably
Dude,
done.
I age like 10 years every 3 weeks. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you know what's weird about this movie is that it's such a strange kind of like convoluted story where basically Judge Dredd is framed for murder and he gets exiled into like the waste and then like he escapes and he comes back and he has to like uncover the conspiracy and fly through the city and like all this other weird stuff. Whereas, you know, that's a Stallone movie. A typical Judge Dredd movie would have been like him going out dispensing justice.
Yeah.
And like, that's when this movie kind of shines. There's a scene where like he's basically giving a traffic violation to like this guy who's named after Stephen S. D'Souza, the screenwriter. And he just like blows up his car for unpaid parking tickets. And I'm like, give me a movie of that. Like, I just want to see him like arresting jaywalkers and shit.
Okay. So that's my thing about this movie that I found kind of weird is like Judge Dredd in this movie kind of comes off like an asshole.
Well, he is.
Yeah.
And
He absolutely is.
they keep the character like we're going to talk about the Dredd movie with Carl Urban next for the next video, but like comparing these two, like Carl Urban's Dredd seems very much like a hero in the setting of the city that he's in. In this movie, especially because of Rob Schneider's character, Dredd in this movie's a dick.
Yeah.
And he kind of gets what he deserves.
He's really hard to root for.
Yeah, he's really difficult to root for. You're like, okay, yeah, technically there's a really bad guy that he's going to take down, but at the same time, I don't want this guy to win.
Like the whole reason for Diane Lane's character to be there is because someone in the movie is rooting for Dredd.
Yeah.
And so you're just supposed to get on board with her and root for him.
But he's a
But like
dick.
his character's so fucking unlikable. They had to write a character who's like, no, he's really nice, you guys.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Speaking of character writing, there's a moment in this movie that really makes me roll my eyes. And it's towards the end where basically Dredd comes to face with Rico. And, you know, it's Sylvester Stallone and Armand Assante. And in the movie, they're supposed to be like genetic twins, like brothers almost.
Sure.
And the only thing that connects these guys is that they're both Italian and they're both wearing blue contacts.
The atrocious contacts.
And the lady
And
doctor.
the way they say law.
Yeah, and the lady doctor, like when they confront them, she's there and she's like,
He looks a lot like you.
But I'm like, no, he doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
And they used Max von Sydow was supposed to be
The father.
the DNA donor.
Oh, really?
puppies, Yeah.
No, I didn't pick that up.
So I don't know where they got Italian from that.
God,
but
no,
you know,
I don't know.
whatever.
Bullshit movie.
Well,
Those pods were made in Italy.
well, the primary genetic matter was taken from Max von Sydow's character, who I believe was Chief Justice Fargo in this movie.
I think so.
But they also mixed in traits from other like Supreme Justices to kind of create this. So like maybe one of them was Italian. I don't know.
Strong genes. All right. I don't have much else to say about this movie. I think Judge Dredd is just too unlikable. It's very campy, very gaudy. I love that. That's a perfect way to describe this movie. It's very gaudy, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't have fun watching it. I watched it twice this week, and I was like, "That was a fun, goofy movie."
It's a goofy Stallone movie for like 90% of it, and it is a guilty pleasure. It's the type of movie that, you know, if it's on TV, like you'll watch it. You know, you won't change the channel. But like I've never sat there and been like, you know what, I really want to watch Judge Dredd.
Yeah, for sure. You guys ready for final thoughts?
Yeah, so ready.
Jude's like, please God.
Yes, please. God.
So V, go ahead. Final thoughts. Give it a rating.
Oh, final thoughts. This is one of those movies that, like Matt just said, if it's on and I'm flipping through the channels, I'll probably stop and watch it for 20 minutes or whatever till the next commercial break until I get distracted again. But it's fun. It's definitely a guilty pleasure movie. Not one of Stallone's best works by any means, but at the same time, it's an enjoyable movie. I keep saying a lot.
Well, you're wasted.
Am I?
Yeah.
I kind of am.
Blueberry wine will kick
Blueberry
you in the ass.
wine.
He was channeling Buck Rogers a minute ago. I saw his shoulders kind of going to like music that's not playing.
Yeah, it's a guilty pleasure movie. It's just Stallone with this is a vanity project of his, maybe that he did.
I got paid $20 million.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
insane.
I'd rather watch Stallone be Cobretti or something like that, not Judge Dredd. Or, you know, I liked him in Demolition Man. It's kind of the same sort of character, but not, I guess. I don't know. I'm just bumbling and rambling because I'm fucking wasted right now. I'm going to give this score Jesus Christ, dude. Blueberry wine. 3 stars. I'm going to give it 3 stars. Yeah. Because it's fun. It's not the best movie in the world, but I like
Watched
it.
anyway.
I like it. It's Judge Dredd. Judge Dredd's fucking cool, man. And if you don't think Judge Dredd's cool, then I don't have to like you. So there.
All right, Jude. He doesn't have to like you.
Speaking of people, I did not have a good time with this movie.
Okay.
It is not a guilty pleasure for me. It's just guilty of not being pleasurable. I think I personally just don't like funny Stallone. Like, I love Cobra. There are other movies of his that I like, that I enjoy. This is not one of them. And I don't like Demolition Man either. Sorry.
What?
Sorry. And you know what? I'm
Have
not
you watched
sorry.
Demolition Man?
No.
Well, guess what?
Fucking love that movie.
I got a birthday coming up.
I'm not saying I hate it. I'm just saying, like, that's never going to be a movie that I'm like, hey, we should have a movie night and watch that. It's never going to happen.
We've never discussed the seashells on the Salty Nerd podcast.
We haven't. We need to.
What?
Well, somebody in the chat was like, do they
fuck
have
is wrong with
seashells? And I was like, you don't know where to find the seashells? I don't like it. I don't want to watch it again. It made me physically react from the pit of my
I
soul.
wish I could have seen that.
It was pretty funny.
This is a 1-star crap fest.
God damn. Whoa.
Good Lord.
Shots fired.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. Kadish, how about you?
Kill it with fire.
So the director of this movie, Danny Cannon, after I think 1 or 2 other films, he moved into TV hardcore. He's one of those guys who comes in, directs a pilot, and becomes an executive producer. So like he did all like the CSI TV shows and a bunch of other stuff. And I think I would have liked to have seen the Cannon cut of this movie, because his vision for this movie was very different from Stallone. This is one of those situations where Stallone literally took over the movie, locked him out of the editing process, and this is Stallone's version of the movie. So he basically stealth directed this, and it was one of those situations where he was always kind of overruling Danny Cannon's decisions on set as to what was filmed and what was written, and demanding like rewrites to make things more comedic when he signed on for like a very serious kind of like, you know, crime movie. So I like what we got, but I like it because it's a bad Stallone film. There's like 15 minutes of a good Dredd movie, and then like the rest is just a bad Stallone movie, but it's bad in the enjoyable Stallone way. And so I agree with Vader. To me, this is a 3-star movie. It's a guilty pleasure. I know it's not a good movie, but like I really enjoy watching it whenever I do see it. And Armand Assante's over-the-top performance is just hilarious.
He was really good in this movie. I love the scene of him and the warden.
Ridiculous.
He's my brother.
You betrayed the law. Like, it's just so fucking weird. Okay, I'm gonna be the voice of reason here.
Oh,
it's not a fucking 3-star movie.
Well, you're wrong.
You're high.
You are correct in that.
It's not a 1-star crap fest.
You are incorrect at that.
I would normally give this 2 stars. It's kind of like, okay, goofy, not great, but fun to watch. But I'm going to get an extra half a star because Superman's mom is super hot in this movie, and I loved every time Judge Hershey was on the screen. So 2.5, right down the middle. Fun watch. If it's on, watch it. If not, you're fine. Don't have to. 2.5 stars for me. Alrighty. That's it for Judge Dredd. Comment below. What do you think about this 80s classic? I see it's 80s. It's 90s, an 80s movie. 90s. Anyway, all right. That's it for the episode today. Thanks for joining us. Tune in a couple of days or so when our next video drops. We're talking about the Carl Urban. What are you doing with your tongue, bro?
It's numb.
Blueberry wine. We're talking the Carl Urban Dredd movie. It's one of my favorite movies ever. So join us for that video coming out soon. Subscribe if you're brand new here, and check us out on Spotify. We have video there now. And if you're an audio person, you can get us everywhere where you get your podcasts from. So you can listen to us on the run. Matt Vader, where can they find you on the socials?
Same place they could find me last week.
Perfect.
At Matt Vader 74.
In the bottom of a barrel of wine.
Of a bottle of Tito's.
At the bottom of a bottle of Tito's. All right. Jude.
You can find me at I am Jude Juju on Instagram and on TikTok.
Okay. Kadish.
You can find me at Matthew Kadish, Kadish on Twitter. KadishBooks.com takes you to my Amazon page. And just remember, the law is everlasting.
Real quick before we get out of here, I just have to mention, because this scene just popped up on the screen where they rip both of his sleeves off and then they rip his whole shirt off.
It's very important.
Why did you rip his sleeves off first, bro?
You can't rip the front off without the sleeves.
Compartmentalize.
Gotta show his freaking triceps.
I need a camera just for my biceps.
These are the law's triceps.
Gotta show his zits from the steroids.
Oh my god.
These are the pecs of justice.
He's got like a nickname for each bicep.
Yes, he does.
Have you guys seen him now?
He's jacked.
He's 95 years old, and he's fucking ripped, man. It is crazy.
He's on steroids.
I don't know, man.
Human growth hormone. All right, guys. See you later. Stay salty.
Yeah.